Rookie here. It's the Pat and JT podcast.
Pat and JT podcast.
Okay, so now we are officially recording.
So it's the start of our podcast.
It's the official start of our podcast. We had the unofficial one when we weren't recording.
Unofficial? Yeah. So we're sitting here with that, and we've been the last few days. Episodes we had different guests in every day, which has been super fun.
Sorry, our volume was way down, and I just adjusted it back up. So hold on a second.
Yeah, okay, I'll wait. I was like, I can't hear.
As soon as I did that, I saw you lunge for your volume.
My volume knob.
I'm thinking it was so low. I'm like, man, my ear's plugged. Oh no, it was just turned down.
No,
and then
it's just
blasted your eyes.
Make my eyes bleed. Thank you very much. Anyway, good morning. And it's earlier in the morning than we normally record. It's about 8:00, and Carole Sprunk is in the studio with us. Yes. Welcome to our podcast, which
Thank you.
You've been with Parkville Media doing your own podcast for months.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, why have we not had you on our podcast yet?
Right.
Right? And so it's just like one of those things that has just slipped through the cracks. And so we're taking care of that today.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Carole first as an introduction. If they aren't familiar with your name, and a lot of people are, no doubt about it. But you have your hands in a lot of different things.
Yes. So Carole Sprunk, the podcast that I do here at Parkville Media is Coffee with Carole, where I bring in Clout Coffee, which is one of my brands, and inspiring people that I want to talk to and that other people should be listening to as well. So I don't even know what I'm doing with my podcast.
Which is so funny. And she comes in and has a guest, and she just walks in, pours them some Clout Coffee, and they sit and they always say, so what's like the format? She goes, I don't really even know what I'm doing. I just talk. And then she does. She just talks. She sits down and just talks.
That's the format.
It's funny.
Yes. Yeah. And I figured that, like if you just get started with something, you kind of figure out your way as you go. And so I figured I'll get it figured out at some point.
Yeah, you're doing
That's
great.
interesting that she says that too, because we were just talking. Van Dieb was in yesterday recording his podcast, and he keeps driving this home to us because we are new business owners.
Yes,
and this is a whole new world to us. And he keeps driving home. You just go.
Yes,
you just
do
go.
it.
You won't make. He says, if you don't make mistakes, I don't want to know you. Number one.
Yeah.
But number two, your mistakes are going to be honest. I mean, it's like you're trying to find the best way to make it right for everybody and the best way for whatever it is that you're trying to create to get to point B, to the next phase. And that's interesting that you say that. It's like you just go.
Just do it. Yeah.
Like Steve Harvey says, jump, right? Just do it.
Yes. And I say, you don't care how deep it is if you know how to swim. So just jump in because it doesn't matter. Just go.
That's a good point too.
Tread water all day long.
Yeah.
I'd actually rather it be deeper than not deep if we're talking about water.
Yeah. Especially
I don't want to.
Especially if you're diving in head first, right?
Because I'd rather be not be able to see the bottom than be able to see the bottom but can't touch the bottom. Like I would never that. So anyway, I just ran with your
I'm not sure about that. I'm trying to think about that. Okay.
Yeah,
you don't like it deep if you can see the bottom.
Yes, because then I know there's crap down there. If I can't see the bottom.
Then whatever it is, out of sight, out of mind?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically.
Unless there's like sharks down there.
Yeah, but
okay.
Basically.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. All right, so let's talk too about, the coffee first off. You poured us some coffee this morning. What's the story behind Clout Coffee? Because this has a whole different level of flavor to it.
Yes. Well, you're now drinking it after a cup of Folgers, so now you're really able to tell the difference immediately,
smoke.
right?
Sorry, Juan Valdez.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
And
Carole usually records in the afternoon, like 4:35, 5:30, and she'll bring the coffee in, and then up wired to like 11:30 because it's delish and it's
Well, sometimes there's bourbon too, but the story behind the coffee
there's
is
always bourbon. Sometimes there's bourbon.
So the coffee is bourbon barrel aged right now. The goal is to have multiple types of liquors and spirits barrel aged, but every bean comes from a barrel and every barrel has a story. So I went on a quest to bring together my two favorite things, bourbon and coffee, and wasn't finding what I was looking for. There are brands out there, but I was finding some that were artificially flavored.
Yeah.
And then I was finding.
I never even would have thought about that.
Right.
How did you come across the bourbon coffee thing to begin with? Besides just pouring it in your coffee in the mornings.
Well, I was sitting at my desk and it was like 9:00 in the morning and I was having a bad day and I'm like, God, I could go for some bourbon right now.
Who hasn't said that this week?
Yes. And so I just thought, well, I just like the flavor of bourbon. Maybe the flavor. And I'm like, well, you can get flavored coffee. And I was drinking my coffee and I was sitting there admiring my cup of coffee because I'm like, this is what gets me through life. And so I started just Google searching and I found, all these flavors. And then I was learning about how some coffee beans, after they're roasted, they're sprayed with flavoring. And that's where you're getting like your
hazelnut.
Yeah, that's where you're getting your flavors from. Is it's like sprayed on the beans, and I was like, that
sound real
sounds
good.
I never even thought about how it gets flavored.
Right.
I just figured they're actual hazelnuts.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, no.
And like little vanilla, it's like vanilla
beans.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Well,
thinking.
I mean, maybe some
might,
brands
but
do
for
that,
the most part.
But right, so I and at the same time, I was a private label manager for a company, and so I saw really quick how profitable it can be to have your own brand of something.
Yeah.
And there are lots of manufacturers out there that have their own brand, but then they provide a white label that you can stick your own sticker on. So I was like thinking, how can I get to a point in my life where I can have revenue coming in while I sleep? Mm-hmm. What can I create? And I'm drinking this coffee and it's all right about the same time. And I'm like, if I'm going to have a brand, I want it to be like a true brand. And it all just started to click that I could have my own brand of coffee. And
that's awesome.
I looked at white labeling other brands, but then I was like, I really love bourbon. And I feel like no one's doing it justice because I want to know about the bourbon that's in that coffee. Don't just tell me it's Kentucky bourbon coffee. That's I mean, I want to know about the brand and the barrel and the company and the experience and the beans. I want to know where they're coming from. And so I'm just very transparent with everybody about that. I blog about my barrels and I tell you that this was a Heaven Hill barrel or a Woodford barrel or Four Roses was.
And that's like people that know whiskey and bourbon
Bourbons.
know what that means.
Yes. Yep.
So, okay.
Okay,
And-
where does your coffee come from? Is that another
they're
thing,
Colombian
too?
beans.
So Juan Valdez could be involved in this because he's all about
one of the
Colombian
Valdezes,
beans.
yeah.
One of the, I mean,
Perhaps.
Juan Valdez. He's kind of like he's actually fiction. Yeah, he's not for real.
Oh, that's
But
not true.
he was
He's real.
all about Colombian coffee. That's what they were. That was promoting the Colombian
Yeah.
coffee and the way it's grown. So there could be a
Could-
marriage here, but
could
you've just
be.
upped the stakes a little bit.
Yeah.
With the barrels. Now, so this coffee that we're drinking this morning, what is this?
This came from Barrel 11, which was a Jack Daniel's barrel.
Really?
Yes.
So is there? Because like you can definitely feel it. I mean, as far as the
It's
aroma,
Yeah.
the taste,
Right.
Is there
Yes.
a kick to this?
No, because
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
But a lot of people ask, and I'm like, you just have to add that separate. Like you just have to dump in your own kick. But it is
dump in your own.
There you go.
That's gonna be the name of today's
Dump
podcast.
in your own kick.
Dump in your
Because
own kick.
really, when there's any flavored alcohol, the flavor that comes from that particular barrel, is it because of the barrel it was seasoned in?
yes.
So when you're making, because I make homemade Kahlua, and you can very easily have all the ingredients and not add the Everclear, and still have that same flavor without that
just-
mule kick.
Then it's just not adding the fun.
It's not right. I leave the fun out, but I mean, I was thinking about that. I was like,
Yeah.
it's the flavoring because I'm not wanting the taste of grain alcohol. Ugh, but I want.
by itself that's awful.
Whew, it's light a fire.
Right.
But that's where this is all coming from, the wood that the barrel was made from. So
Yeah.
do you kind of research what barrels you're wanting?
Yeah,
get your hands on.
it's also just like preference too. I mean, and I get fresh dumped barrels, so they're very wet inside. And when you take the bung out, you can
what?
That's
the
a little
bung.
plug.
The plug?
Yes,
Okay.
you take that out, and
So
it
that's what the
smells.
bunghole?
The
Yes,
bunghole.
It's the bunghole.
They weren't lying to you.
Holy cow! That's a bunghole.
The bunghole.
Yes, yep. That's where the beans go in.
I've heard. Where the beans come out too.
Well, okay.
They do.
That's awesome. I
Okay.
didn't know that was actually a thing.
So when you take the bung out, go ahead. Continue. We didn't mean to interrupt you, but
Sorry.
No, but
it's
the-
like light bulb moment.
The smell that comes out is amazing. I mean, And then the beans sit in there for a couple months, and then they get roasted. So they're roasted at 400 and some degrees, kills there's no alcohol, then there's just flavor that remains. And
So do you, how many barrels do you have that are soaking age, whatever it is now?
2. So barrel 10 was a Soldier Valley bourbon barrel, which they're over in La Vista, Patriarch Distillery.
Awesome.
And
That's cool.
So I have a second barrel that's barrel 12 of theirs sitting right now, and that'll get roasted here in a couple months.
Like, how do you know how long it's got to sit there? Is it different per barrel for every barrel?
No, we've kind of wrestled around with a couple different, like 10 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks seems to be kind of our sweet spot for resting it. But as we're growing, we will try different things, smaller size barrels.
Yeah.
Higher quantity beans, longer resting periods. There's just lots
awesome.
of things
It's just
that we're
like
working
wine
on.
almost.
It is. It's like wine. It's like the beer, actually, the breweries as well. Because I've talked to some of the local breweries talking about trying different flavors to put in and increasing this and decreasing that and going to markets and things, kind of learning from other people what they had to offer that could be added to their beers to make them stand out.
Yeah.
And this is really good.
Yeah.
This coffee is really good. I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't had it.
Yeah.
And I've heard you talk about it, but I had no idea. And
It's
that
different, definitely different. Like
that
it's not
smell
like
is like, it's enticing. It's like, oh my God, that just smells.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Indulgent.
really good. Yes, I love it. I love
Can
it.
people buy any locally here in stores, or I know it's on Amazon?
Yep, it's on Amazon, on my website, and then Spirit World down in Exarban sells
Good for
it.
them.
And there are 2 Hy-Vees, the one in Linden Market and the one
right
on
by me.
180th
Yeah,
and
see?
Pacific.
Oh,
Nice.
not too far
So-
from my house at all.
The one in Linden Market, it's down the bourbon aisle. So
It's a great
Nice.
place
I
for
was,
it.
and that was
Do you
like
get
a
to
learning
choose placement, or did they kind of?
No, yes and no. I wanted it in the alcohol department. And then I quickly realized that people that were going there to buy it were going down the coffee aisle. And so now I'm trying to get that store to put it down the coffee aisle.
So I've heard
They
not
could put it
well.
in both.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's what I was going to ask you. I've heard not to totally bore people, but I've heard it's like a wrestling match to get a product in a grocery store, let alone to be able to pick
Yes.
where it's placed.
It's hard, but relationships matter.
Yeah.
Like I was able to get it in the liquor department because I drink bourbon, because I have built up relationships with these.
Right. And people laugh at me when they say hi when I come in.
Yeah. No, you gotta say hi.
Is it Baker's that like sends you the email or whatever of like your value, whatever that they sent you?
Hy-Vee.
That Hy-Vee? Was it an email or what did they send you that shows your
that's
most
my
purchased
aisles
product?
online.
Oh, like suggestions?
No,
What,
these are the most purchased products.
3 of the
Aisles
5 were alcohol,
Yeah,
right?
maybe.
And they were all products to make Everclear or
to make my
Kahlua.
Kahlua is what it really was, because it was Everclear and there was vodka and there was cream, I think, and then there's coffee, because you have to see
So
that might be
funny.
interesting for my Kahlua.
Yes.
because I use
Ooh.
coffee.
Yep.
To make the Kahlua.
Yep,
And
there's-
I make a real strong small pot, like 2 cups,
Mm-hmm.
really strong coffee that I pour in for the coffee flavoring.
Ooh, yeah, this would talk about pouring in a kick.
That might be an
Yes.
idea. I might try that.
There is a guy here in
Yeah.
town who said he was going to do his Kahlua this year with my coffee in it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I got to find a way to market this stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
See, it's your own
mine's-
brand.
Mine's sugar free.
Oh.
That's it. Because normal
Nice.
Kahlua, like when you make the regular recipe, it calls for 5 cups of sugar for a gallon.
Holy cow.
And I use either stevia, and stevia is my favorite.
It doesn't change the
Splenda.
taste at all, in my opinion,
Yeah.
from sugar to
Yeah.
stevia at all.
The stevia is my favorite to work with. Splenda works too, but stevia is my favorite.
Have
to
you
work
tried
with.
Swerve?
I have not. I've tried the not stevia. Well, yeah, the stevia drops as well. The liquid, that stuff's potent. You don't need about like 2 tablespoons.
Really?
I've never even heard of that.
Wow.
Yeah, the drops are something else.
I've never heard of
But-
Swerve either.
I haven't either.
I've bought the Swerve just because my husband's on this keto
Yeah.
diet. And so Swerve seems to be the sugar
I wonder which one
replacement.
it is. I'll have to look it up, because the stevia, and you have to make sure you get the real deal, because there are some knockoffs that
Oh, yeah.
aren't as
Right.
they've got other additives. Yeah.
Right.
The experimental process of that had to be just torture, trying to find the right sugar,
Drink
gallon after
all
gallon.
the-
Gallon
of
after
Kahlua.
gallon.
Yes.
And just like
That stuff, just because it's sugar free, like you think in your mind, you're like, this is green light to do it, whatever. Well, Beth and I over a weekend drank. How much it makes? How many? How much?
It makes 5 regular the big bottles or the bottles that you buy. A gallon is about 5 of those.
Yeah, we
Because
drank.
it's like a fifth.
We drank all
right?
that in
so
2
it's
days.
roughly.
We did over when it stormed. When it stormed last winter, we made it, and we're like, well, we're
I can
socked
see it's
in.
easy to do.
Yeah.
But it's 1 bottle of alcohol. So you do have the Everclear in there. So you can figure that out, what your calories are in that alcohol, because it does have alcohol, or it has calories. The Everclear does, but it's not that bad. So
Yeah.
no, you're fine.
Yeah, we didn't care. We were popped by 2 o'clock both days.
I like
so
to
it
promote
didn't
it as
matter.
I like to promote it as highly keto.
Highly keto.
Keto friendly.
Right? Because you can use heavy cream to mix in with your drink.
Absolutely. Throw some MCT oil in it.
Oh my gosh.
You're good.
Way to start the day.
Meal replacement.
Talking about your kick.
That's my breakfast shake.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Oh, no, sorry. Okay. Anyway. All right. So that's how the Clout, that's what brought you to Parkville as far as doing your own podcast. But you have other things that are out there as well. And you've
Yes.
got a couple magazines. One is just getting ready to launch.
It just launched.
It just launched.
I brought
you brought
it.
him in?
Oh my gosh. I didn't even
Yesterday.
notice that. I was
Yes.
looking at the other one. Okay.
Yep.
That's fantastic. So Edge Magazine, first and foremost, how long have you had Edge?
Almost 3 years.
That's awesome.
And it just celebrated 6 years. So I purchased it almost 3 years ago.
That's great. And you have a background in print. Anyway, so you've always had that kind of desire.
I love print.
That's awesome. And so Dine Magazine is the newest
Yes.
thing on the market.
That's
Yes.
awesome. It
This
looks
is
great.
great.
Yes. It's such an exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
What will people find in Dine?
Food and beverage scene in Omaha, specifically in Omaha to start with, but the goal is to grow it across Nebraska eventually because it's elevating the Nebraska dining experience. So they will find wonderful photography, expert writers, chefs, restaurants. There's always a 2-page spread on wine, spirits, and beer.
Nice.
So it's beautiful. Just front to back. It smells good.
Just like Edge. Do you
Yes.
smell when you open the new boxes of
Yes.
the magazine? You
Yep.
smell?
And they're in my trunk right now. So my car smells like print, and it is my favorite.
Can we smell your trunk before you go?
smell.
Best car
Yes.
freshener ever.
Right,
Yeah.
just
Right.
print. Just boxes.
Yes, yeah.
But Edge magazine looks it looks great. And then so if Dine is anything like Edge, I mean that's the thing that if you see it sitting in a doctor's office or you see it wherever
Right.
it is,
Grab it.
you grab it. Yeah.
Right.
It's a great magazine to have too, because and like you said, to kind of expose Omaha's dining scene. And we've been talking to a lot of people. This is a really hot topic of late. There are a lot of people that are kind of on in different areas. It's really cool as far as finding the nice, family friendly kind of places, or finding the best burger in town, or trying out different cuisines in town.
Yes.
This place, Omaha, is just like a melting pot as far as the different ethnicities and
Right.
the diverse cuisines.
Yes.
I don't think I would say that a lot of people probably don't realize it, because you get stuck in your favorites. And you don't even realize something else is out there.
Yeah, because it's
Right.
too much work if you're super busy to go experiment, and then if you go to a place you don't like, you're like, well, that was a waste of a night.
So something like this is great.
Yeah.
Right. And this magazine will show those things. It will show new restaurants or techniques. We've got a section in there called Dear Dine. So if diners have a question about why does my restaurant do this instead of that, or why is, 2 glasses used to bring my wine to the table instead of 1, or whatever, people can send in their questions and we will ask chefs and then put those answers
That's
in
awesome.
the magazine.
That's great.
And I mean, in the first issue, it's discussed dry aged beef, why?
Yeah. Why?
And ramen. Why is ramen more expensive in a restaurant than it is at the grocery store? What's the process? And those are things, we think about, or we want to know. And so it's a very interactive publication where we will take feedback from the readers. And
I think something that's missing just in general, we've talked about this on our podcast a couple times in the last couple months, is like a centralized place to find out about stupid happy hours in bars. I know that's not probably a little more, your Dine's a little more fancier than that, but like there's no centralized place for that specific thing. So if somebody's looking for higher end stuff, Dine is a great centralizer. Is that a word?
Sure, why not?
Central point, whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, to have all that stuff.
Great place to start.
If you want to have any happy hour input, I'd be more than happy to be your
there you go.
consultant, your reporter, whatever.
There you go.
Right.
Because it's a lot of people that we've talked to.
You
feel
don't
the
hear
same
as
way.
much about the happy hours anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. It's like
You got to go to individual websites and Facebook
Yeah.
and everything like that to find out what these
Sure.
specials are.
Well, and I think so many of those places change their happy hours
Mm-hmm.
around or their menus for it. But yeah, I mean, I just kind of anticipate that everybody has a happy hour right now. So
But who has the best one though? Yeah, see?
good point.
What's your favorite restaurant in Omaha? Like if you
Well-
could go anywhere you wanted right now and eat.
if I could go anywhere right now and eat.
No, it is not 8 in the morning. So
Yeah, true.
Right.
Pretend it's 5:30 at night.
Okay, let's just say you can only go to one restaurant for the rest of the year.
For the rest of the year. Oh my gosh.
That'd be hard. I mean, I can think of a couple places I would definitely go because I'm good with eating. Oddly, it's like it's a big shocker. I get stuck on something and I don't
Right.
go out of that. It's like I find something I like and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
That's just one less thing I have to worry about. I love it. I love eating it, and it's delicious until it lets me down. Then I move on to something else. But it's like going through the drive-thru. If you go through the drive-thru, there's always that one or two things that you always get the same thing.
I just saw two of your boyfriend's faces flash at me. I'm like, what are you talking about? As soon as they let me down, I'm done. Move
Let
on.
me down. We're done. That's it. I'm moving on. So yeah, does anything like pop in your mind though? As far as
I would eat at probably Sternella
ooh,
a
okay.
lot. Their chicken is very good, and they have this butter bar that is
Got me right there.
A butter bar?
a butter bar, and it comes with like a Nutella ice cream.
That's craziness.
Butter bar.
Yeah.
Did you just see the story that came out just recently about meat? That now they're saying red meat is okay for you. Actually, it's good for you.
It's like coffee. One day it's gonna kill you, and the next
Right.
day it's gonna save your life. I
And then-
mean, I
right.
just think you just do what you do.
Just do what makes you feel good.
yeah,
Right?
We're all
You-
gonna die anyway.
Right. If
matter.
you want to kick of whiskey one morning and whatever, do
yeah,
it.
Yep.
That's why they make bourbon cream now and Kahlua. I mean, come on. That is what goes in your coffee, right?
right?
It's a healthy creamer,
Right.
I agree
Healthy
with healthy
creamer.
clean.
sugar-free creamer.
I can give you that. I'm going to bring that to the market. That's my goal.
So if she wanted to like make her own Kahlua and do that, would she have to create her own ingredients that go into this thing, or can she get other ingredients to make another product?
I think I would think your biggest hurdle would be getting a liquor license and then selling it, because you can't ship liquor
Right.
over state lines or what. I don't know all the rules around it, but I had reached out to the Department of Liquor or whatever
The
at
rules
one
and
point,
regulations.
because my goal was to eventually have my own brand of bourbon too. And I'm like, well, then I have to sell it across, Nope, that's
Really?
not okay to do. You cannot.
So I wonder if you
ship.
can go in under the label of somebody else that already has that.
maybe.
It's like, but without losing control of your idea. So
Well-
you still
Yeah.
have ownership.
And potentially, like, I think you just work that out. Like Clout, I have had this coffee has been used in beer at the First Street Brewing in Hastings. He's used it in the blonde ale.
Nice.
And it's delicious. And I'm like, how can we do this permanently? How can, my logo be on your beer
yeah.
forever?
Yeah.
But also, I want to get Clout to be a nitro cold brew that would be canned, and I don't have the canning system or any of that. So I want to partner with people who have those things and can complement my brand. And
That's a good. Maybe I should reach out to Everclear.
Right.
do it. Send them an Instagram message today.
Right.
Slide into Everclear's
got an
DMs.
idea.
Hey guys.
What's up?
What up?
They did just relabel the bottles not too long ago.
They look
Really sharp looking.
well, yeah, because before they looked like it was like throwback, like it's been that same
The
label
50s.
forever.
It did. It looked like some from the 50s or 40s. Who knows?
Yeah.
And now they've finally updated the labels, and now I can never find them because I
Because it's all different.
always have to ask. So that's awesome. All right. So thank you for coming in.
And we're working on the
Yes.
Dine podcast too.
We are
so
working.
keep
Oh, yes. And the Dine
Yes.
podcast is going to be coming soon. And that's going to be a lot of fun. We had one of our first meetings, a little consultation, sitting down
Yes.
with an amazing. Do you want to tell who's going to be on it?
So Brian O'Malley, who's on my advisory board for the Dine publication, is super pumped about bringing more awareness around the food and beverage industry through a podcast. It's
And his
awesome.
credentials are pretty good too.
Yes.
Go ahead and tell him.
He is I believe he's the dean of the culinary.
I'll call him the
At
Grand
MCC,
Poobah
yeah.
at
Yes.
MCC, for the
Yeah.
Culinary
Big
Arts
MCC,
program.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's the daddy.
and just fascinating to talk to. He was super
Yes.
excited about. Had some great ideas.
Very passionate about
yeah.
what he does.
Yeah.
And that's what I
Yeah.
love about people is if just bring passion.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
makes
He's-
anything can be interesting if somebody brings passion with it. That's why
excited about it.
podcasting is so great because people
Right.
that come in here you're passionate about coffee. He's passionate about dining. We have people that talk about the most random things, but they're
Yes.
passionate about it, and you can feel it,
Fascinating.
and it's fascinating. It really is. I learned so much.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true. All right. Well,
Right.
then thank you again. We
Yes.
appreciate you coming in. So check it out. Clout Coffee, Dine Magazine, Edge Magazine.
Yeah, and search Amazon for Clout or where else can
Yep.
you buy it in town?
Hy-Vees.
Hy-Vees, a couple Hy-Vees, and
Spirit
Spirit
World?
World. Yep.
Yeah.
Jack's Liquor in Fremont. If you go there.
Get it, Jack.
Way to go, Fremonters. Hey, Fremont Fred.
That's right. Get it, buddy.
Get it.
Thanks, Carole, for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. 402-403-9478. That is our phone number. You can leave a voicemail. You can text us, or it's Pat and JT, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Easiest. Go to our website.
Do that too.
Everything's right there.
PatandJT.com.
Pat and JT Podcast. A Parkville Media Production.